The shopkeeper's pencil scratched another X across Tuesday. 6 crossed-out squares. 6 women who'd fled Daniel Hart's ranch before the week ended. "Stage is coming," his wife announced, peering through dusty glass. Anna Russell stepped down from the coach carrying 1 carpet bag and a canvas tool roll. No trunk, no hat boxes. The women behind their gloved hands noticed her fingernails first clean but short, working nails. At the hardware display, she tested a plow blade's edge against her thumb while Daniel Hart rehearsed his warnings about isolation, about wells running dry, about winters that killed cattle. "The water table," Anna interrupted, eyes still on the blade. "How deep?" Daniel's mouth stayed open, the word loneliness dying on his tongue. The shopkeeper's wife leaned toward her husband. "This one's different." Anna was already walking toward Daniel's wagon, counting the wheel spokes, calculating load capacity. Before we continue, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story. The wagon lurched over dried ruts. Anna's pencil moved across her pocket notebook, mapping the drainage patterns carved into the earth. Daniel's knuckles stayed white on the reins. 6 miles out, he said. No neighbors for 3. Anna licked her pencil tip, sketched the rock formation that would channel spring runoff. The October sun pulled sweat through Daniel's shirt despite the cool air. His speech about doctor visits requiring full-day trips stuck behind his teeth while she counted fence posts per quarter mile. The ranch emerged from prairie grass like something that had given up fighting. The main house squatted low, its unpainted boards gone gray as old bones. The barn leaned 2 degrees east. Daniel stopped the wagon. Anna climbed down before he could offer his hand. She walked the perimeter first, boot falls measuring distances. The well stood 15 paces from the kitchen door, good for winter hauling. She dropped a pebble down the shaft. 2 seconds to splash. She wrote 30 feet in her notebook. The porch boards flexed but didn't crack under her weight. Through the window, she counted 12 panes, 4 cracked, sealed with yellowed newspaper dated from 3 years back. Inside, the kitchen told its story in layers. 6 different wallpaper patterns. Each woman's hope scraped partially away. The stove hulked against the north wall, its surface spotted with rust where someone had scrubbed too hard, then stopped scrubbing altogether. Anna ran her fingers along the stove's interior, reading the soot patterns. The left side burned hotter, warped damper. She opened the firebox door. The hinge squeaked once, then caught. She worked it back and forth until it swung smooth. Daniel stood in the doorway. "The bedroom's through there. Has a dresser. Empty." Anna knelt at the stove's base, examining the ash drawer. Her fingers found scratches in the metal. She pulled it toward the light. Letters carved deep, MC, day 5. And below it, Sarah, God help me, and 4 other sets of initials with dates. None past day 6. "They all marked it," she said. Not a question. Daniel's boot scraped the threshold. "I never looked." Anna slid the drawer back into place. The metal whispered against its tracks. She stood, wiping her hands on her skirt, leaving parallel streaks of old ash. "Show me where the last one's garden failed." The failed garden stretched behind the house, prairie grass reclaiming furrows. Anna walked the rows, her boot crushing dried bean vines someone had planted too late. Squash hills had collapsed inward. The fence posts tilted where frost had heaved them. "No windbreak," Anna said. She pulled a handful of soil, crumbled it between her fingers. "Clay underneath, holds too much water in spring, bakes hard in summer." Daniel watched her taste the dirt. She spat, wiped her mouth. "Alkaline, needs sulfur." She pointed to the slope. "Runoff pools here, root rot." Back inside, Anna opened her carpet bag on the kitchen table. The bottom layer revealed seed packets wrapped in oilcloth, each labeled in precise handwriting. Detroit dark red, Martha's Garden, 1882. Kentucky Wonder, save 3rd generation. Cherokee trail beans, trades for eggs. Daniel picked up a packet. Through the transparent paper, black seeds clustered like promises. Anna unpacked her garden trowel, the handle worn smooth where her thumb rested, pruning shears, recently oiled, a folding knife, a ball of twine. No ribbons, no photographs, no letters tied with string. She moved to the stove, opened the reservoir. Rust flakes floated in stale water. She drained it into a bucket. The stream brown, then orange, then clear. From her bag, she produced a tin of Rising Sun stove polish and a wire brush. You don't have to. Daniel started. Water drops hit the stovetop. Anna watched them dance, mapping the heat. Left side made them skip and vanish. Right side. They rolled lazy before evaporating. The center held steady heat. She noted the pattern in her ledger, sketching the stovetop in quick strokes. The oven door stuck. She worked it open, peered inside. Soot coated the left wall thicker than the right. The damper was indeed warped, just as her fingers had discovered. She found a poker, bent it slightly, created a prop to hold the damper at the angle she needed. Daniel's usual speech notes lay folded in his pocket. The one about how the last woman cried at the empty pantry. The one about town being too far for weekly supplies. His fingers found the papers, left them there. Limestone quarry, Anna said, testing the oven spring with her palm. Where? 8 miles north. Why? Crushing limestone sweetens soil. Chickens need it for shells. She opened her ledger, drew the ranch layout from memory, added an arrow pointing north. Creek water, year-round. Mostly. Gets low in August. She drew the creek's path, marked August with a question mark. The kitchen filled with the scratch of her pencil, the occasional pop from the stove as metal expanded. From her supplies. Anna pulled flour, lard, saleratus. The measuring cup had no handle. She wrapped it with a cloth, mixed the biscuit dough in a cracked bowl, her knuckles working the mixture while she studied the wall calendar. October 15th, circled in red. Day 7. She shaped 8 biscuits, placed them in the oven's sweet spot she'd identified, the warped damper held with her improvised prop. Daniel sat at the table, his coffee cold in its cup. Anna's ledger lay open beside her workspace. Between flour dustings, she sketched irrigation channels, marked prevailing winds, calculated seed quantities per square foot. Church is 12 miles, and Daniel said. Rain barrels. Anna didn't look up from her ledger. How many? 3, 1 leaks. She drew 3 circles, put an X through one. The smell of rising biscuits filled the kitchen. She checked them through the oven window, the yellowed isinglass barely transparent. They rose even on all sides. Her damper adjustment worked. At the table, she set 2 plates, 2 forks, no napkins, she'd seen none. The biscuits came out golden, their tops crackling. She split one, steam escaping. The inside pulled apart in layers. Daniel bit into his biscuit. His jaw slowed. Martha was that her name had made biscuits that first morning, flat as shingles. Sarah had tried baking bread. It never rose. The others hadn't attempted the stove at all. Anna ate while drawing. Her plate pushed to one side. Ledger angled to catch window light. She sketched the house footprint, added measurements, drew sight lines from windows to gauge sun exposure. Her biscuit cooled while she calculated. Chicken coop, she said through a mouthful. The lumber from the failed one. Still good. Mostly. Needs new corner posts. She drew a coop, crossed out corners, redrew them, added dimensions. The tallow rendering pot sat empty by the stove. She made a note about soap making, underlined ash twice. Daniel pushed back from the table, walked to the window. The October light slanted long across dead grass. Tomorrow would start the count everyone in town tracked. 6 women, 6 failures, all before day 7. His reflection caught in the glass a man who'd learned to expect leaving. Behind him, Anna opened the wall calendar. She counted forward from October, marking planting dates for spring crops. Her pencil moved past the circled date without pause. May 15th, corn. June 1st. 2nd, bean planting. She turned back to the table, found Daniel watching her. The kerosene can by the door had a potato stuck on its spout to prevent vapor loss. She pulled the potato free, sniffed it. This potato's sprouted eyes. Good for planting. She quartered it with her knife, each piece containing 2 strong eyes. Where do you keep seed potatoes for spring? Daniel's prepared warnings about loneliness. about the silence that drove women to sob in the root cellar, dissolved like water drops on hot metal. I don't, never saw the point. Anna looked at him straight on. Then we'll need to buy some. How's your credit at the store? The word hung between them. Will. Daniel's hand went to his pocket, crushed the speech notes. Through the window, a rider approached from town, dust rising behind his horse. That's Mrs. Henderson, Daniel said. The pastor's wife. Anna glanced at her work dress, streaked with ash and soil. Coming to check if I'm crying yet. Mrs. Henderson's boots hit the porch boards. 3 knocks, knuckles sharp against wood. Anna wiped her hands on her apron, leaving fresh flour streaks over the ash. She opened the door. Mrs. Henderson stood in pressed cotton, her collar starched white despite the ride. Her eyes swept Anna's work dress, the dirt beneath her fingernails, the streak of stove black on her cheek. I've come to welcome you. Mrs. Henderson's gaze moved past Anna to the kitchen. And to see if you need anything. Water, Anna said. I need to know if the alkaline changes after spring melt. Mrs. Henderson's mouth opened, closed. I meant comfort items, perhaps some tea or company. I have work. Anna stepped aside. But you can tell me about soil conditions while I sort seeds. Mrs. Henderson entered, her nose twitching at the smell of yeast Anna's sourdough starter bubbling in a crock. The pastor's wife sat at the table, back straight, while Anna spread seed packets across the scarred wood. These need full sun. Anna grouped packets. These tolerate shade. What grows well in town? Tomatoes do well. Mrs. Murphy grows excellent tomatoes. Variety. I don't. I'll ask her directly. Anna made a note. Mrs. Henderson's eyes followed the confident scratches of pencil on paper. When does the last frost typically hit? Mrs. Henderson stayed 20 minutes. She left knowing Anna planned to plant potatoes in trenches, not hills, and that the widow intended to trade preserves for laying hens within the week. The pastor's wife's goodbye came out strangled. That night, Anna lay on the straw mattress, fully dressed. The house creaked with cooling wood. Through the window, stars spread across black sky. She pulled her mother's watch from her pocket, 10:47. In the morning, she'd start changing things. Day 2 arrived with frost on grass. Anna rose before Daniel, her breath misting in the cold kitchen. She built the fire, set coffee to boil, mixed batter for flapjacks. On the barn board, she wrote with charcoal. Morning D. Check north fence line. Move cattle to west pasture. A. Clear garden section. 1. Haul manure. Begin compost. Noon. Both. Meal at garden plot. Afternoon. D. Repair chicken coop frame. A. Test soil sections. Mark drainage. Evening. Both. Review tomorrow. Mend tools. Daniel found her hauling the first wheelbarrow of manure when the sun cleared the horizon. The load pulled heavy, wheel rutting soft ground. Her shoulders strained against the handles. She didn't look up, didn't ask for help. Her boots found purchase, pushed forward. He walked to the north fence, found 3 posts loose, 2 rails cracked. The repairs took his morning while Anna's wheelbarrow squeaked back and forth, at the garden plot. Anna pulled rocks from soil, threw them in a pile that grew knee-high. Her palms blistered inside work gloves. She kept pulling. The cleared section expanded, a dark rectangle against yellow grass. She hauled bucket after bucket from the well, the rope burning through her gloves, water sloshing cold against her skirt. Daniel watched from the fence line. The 6th woman, Claire, had asked him to prepare the garden. The 5th had cried when she broke a fingernail on the well rope. Anna's back bent and straightened. Her shadow shortened as noon approached. She appeared at the fence line with 2 tin pails, handed one over without speaking. Inside, cornbread still warm, beans with salt pork, dried apple slices. They ate standing, leaning against posts Daniel had just repaired. Limestone quarry, Anna said between bites. Can we get a load? Have to trade something. I'll have preserves in 3 weeks. Maybe 2 if I can get sugar. Daniel chewed cornbread, watched her calculate. Henderson said you asked about soil. She knew nothing useful. Anna wiped her mouth with her sleeve. But she mentioned Mrs. Murphy's tomatoes. I'll visit her tomorrow. A rooster, the only survivor from the last attempt at chickens, strutted across the yard, tail feathers dragging. He stopped at Anna's feet, pecked at her boot. Ornery bastard, Daniel said. Been trying to catch him for soup. Anna dropped a cornbread crumb. The rooster pecked, looked up for more. She dropped another, closer to her hand. Another. The rooster's head darted forward. Anna's hand closed on his legs in one motion. The bird squawked, wings beating air. How? Roosters are vain. Feed their pride. They forget to be suspicious. She held the bird at arm's length, examined his feet. Healthy spurs? Good breeding stock if we get hens. She released him. The rooster ruffled his feathers, stalked away with wounded dignity. Daniel found himself almost smiling. The afternoon pulled long. Anna marked drainage patterns with stakes, tested soil every 10 feet. She made notes in her ledger, sketches that turned dirt into future food. Daniel reinforced the coop frame, replacing corners as she'd suggested. The sun dropped toward the horizon when Anna called him to the garden. She stood by her rock pile, now waist-high. These aren't waste, she said. We'll use them for a root cellar wall, the flat ones for pathways, the round ones for drainage under raised beds. Daniel lifted a rock, felt its weight. You planned this from the start. Waste is laziness. She pulled off her gloves. Her palms showed fresh blisters, some already broken and weeping. You have bear grease. These need treatment. In the kitchen, Daniel found the tin of bear grease, old but still good. Anna held out her hands, steady. He spread the grease on her palms, the broken blisters angry red. Her fingers didn't flinch. Tomorrow I'll need leather to reinforce these gloves, she said. Old harness leather would work. I have some. She made another note in her ledger, left hand awkward but determined. The lamplight caught the sheen of grease on her palms. The Murphy place, Anna said. How far? 4 miles east. Why? Those tomatoes. If she saved seeds from successful plants for multiple years, they're adapted to this soil. I need to know her variety, her method. Anna paused, pencil suspended. Also, she might trade starts for preserved goods. Daniel watched her write, each line precise despite her injured hands. The schedule for tomorrow already taking shape. D. Haul limestone arrange trade. A. Visit Murphy. Farm seeds, knowledge. You're not like the others, he said. Anna's pencil stopped. She looked up. The others were brides. I'm a farmer. Through the window, that rooster strutted past, proud despite his earlier capture. Anna had held him so easy, like she'd held 100 roosters, 100 stubborn things that needed catching. Daniel stood, checked the stove damper, Anna's improvised prop still holding it at the right angle. I know where there's wild plums, mile north. Missed the fruit season, but there might be pits worth collecting. Anna added to her ledger, investigate plum grove, rootstock potential. The kitchen held the smell of coffee, bear grease, and charcoal from her writing on the barn board. Her schedule still visible through the door. Tomorrow already mapped. Daniel's usual evening silent soup, early bed. Waiting for another leaving felt like someone else's life. The Henderson woman, Anna said. She'll tell everyone I didn't cry. That bother you? No. Anna flexed her treated hands. Testing. But they'll come in groups next. Safety in numbers. We'll need something to trade them, or they'll just waste our time gossiping. The word hit Daniel again. Will? Anna didn't seem to notice. Already planning. If I can get the garden producing within 3 weeks, set up a weekly trade circle. She pulled the calendar from the wall, spread it flat. October 15th still circled in red. She counted forward. First frost usually when early November, sometimes late October. Her pencil moved. X's on dates, notes in margins. Daniel saw she'd already marked day 7, day 14, day 21, not as endpoints, but as ordinary squares among others. Your hands, Daniel said. They'll be worse tomorrow. Anna looked at her palms, the grease glistening. They'll toughen. The lamplight flickered. Daniel added kerosene, the smell sharp in close air. Anna's ledger filled another page. Her damaged hands never stopped moving. Outside, the temperature dropped toward freezing. Inside. Anna drew garden plots by lamplight, each square labeled with crops that would grow despite alkali soil, despite harsh wind, despite everything that made other women leave. Her pencil scratched across paper like she was writing new rules. Daniel watched her work. Tomorrow she'd visit the Murphy farm. But tonight, she studied his face like she'd studied the stove looking for patterns, hot spots, places that needed adjustment. You've been alone here 3 years, she said. Not a question. Since my father died. Anna's pencil stopped moving. She looked at the empty chairs around the table. 6 women had sat in them, one after another, each leaving their own kind of damage. Show me where he's buried. The root cellar door scraped against warped floorboards. Cool air rushed up, carrying the smell of earth and something else sweetness gone wrong. Anna descended first, her candle flame bending away from the draft. Shelves lined both walls. Jars crowded every surface, their contents obscured by dust and shadow. Anna's candle threw light across glass, revealing colors red, green, amber, purple-black. Daniel followed, had to duck the beam. His shadow fell across the jars. Never could throw them out, he said. Anna lifted the nearest jar, wiped dust with her sleeve. The label, water-stained but readable. Mary, pickled beets, September 1879. The lid showed rust at the edges. She held it to the candle flame, turned it slow. Liquid sloshed inside, still clear. The next jar, Elizabeth, wild plum jam, July 1880. The wax seal intact, thumbprint preserved in the paraffin. Anna ran her finger over that thumbprint, feeling the ridges some woman pressed there on a hot July day. Elizabeth stayed 5 days, Daniel said. The heat got her. Anna set Elizabeth's jam aside, picked up another. Claire, green tomatoes, October 1881. The lid bulged. She set it in the corner they'd designate for disposal. Daniel reached past her, pulled a jar from the back. Sarah, his thumb rubbed the label. Bread and butter pickles. She sang while she worked. Hymns, mostly. Anna took Sarah's jar, checked the seal. Good. The pickles floated uniform, still crisp-looking. She placed it with Elizabeth's jam. They worked through the shelves, Anna sorting, Daniel naming. Martha's corn relish spoiled, Rebecca's preserved peaches perfect, the fruit suspended like gold coins, Jenny's sauerkraut questionable smell even through the seal. Jenny was the third one, Daniel said. She tried to make this place like her mother's kitchen in Ohio. Anna found more of Jenny's work. Apple butter, green beans, pickled eggs. The eggs had turned gray, the whites solid as rubber. But tucked behind them, a flour sack tied with twine. Anna opened it. Flour. Still dry. Still good. At the bottom, wrapped in brown paper, a small crock. She opened the crock. Sourdough starter. Dormant but not dead. The yeast smell faint but present. Anna touched the surface, no mold, just the dark liquid that forms when starter sits unfed. She said her grandmother brought that from Pennsylvania, Daniel said. Carried it for 60 years. Anna stirred the starter with her finger, brought it to her nose. Still viable, needs feeding, but it'll come back. They cataloged everything. Anna's ledger filled with names and dates, successes and failures. Mary knew how to pickle but not preserve fruit. Elizabeth could make jam, but her vegetables failed. Sarah managed everything except meat. Her attempt at canned beef had turned green. Behind the last row, Anna found unmarked jars. She looked at Daniel. "My mother's," he said. From before, these jars were different. Uniform size, each sealed with identical precision. Anna held one up, venison in clear broth, no cloudiness, no separation. Another contained green beans so perfectly preserved they looked fresh picked. "She taught you," Anna said. "Tried to. I never had the patience." Anna counted his mother's jars. 23, all perfect. She made a separate page in her ledger, copied what she could read of the fading labels. Recipes written in careful script, measurements exact. They climbed from the cellar. The kitchen felt warm after that underground cold. Anna set Jenny's starter on the counter, added water and a handful of fresh flour. The mixture bubbled within minutes, yeast waking hungry. "The smokehouse," Anna said. They walked outside. The structure leaned north, trying to fall. The roof had gaps where shingles blew off. The door hung on one hinge. Inside, the hooks remained wrought iron, well made, but the firebox had cracked. The chimney partially collapsed. Daniel kicked at fallen brick. Lightning hit it year before last. Anna examined the remaining walls. Foundations solid. "Those corner posts are black locust. They'll outlast us all." She measured the space with steps. The failed chicken run, that lumber still stacked behind the barn. Most of it. They hauled lumber, working opposite ends of long boards. Anna directed placement, creating sorted piles, straight pieces for walls, warped for kindling, solid posts for corners. Her bandaged hands gripped rough wood. Splinters found gaps in the leather reinforcement Daniel had added to her gloves. The sun climbed high. They stopped to drink water from the same dipper. Anna's face streaked with dirt and sweat. She pulled a splinter from her palm with her teeth, spat it aside. "We'll need brick for the new firebox," she said. "Can't reuse the cracked ones." "Murphy might trade. He bought too many for his well." Anna made another note. The ledger bulged with loose papers, now sketches, lists, measurements. She'd drawn the smokehouse from 3 angles, marked where repairs were needed, where they could salvage, where they had to rebuild. Daniel lifted a board, found carved initials on the underside. "M. Sarah Miller." She'd been planning something with this lumber. A hope chest, maybe? Or shelves for the kitchen she'd never finish organizing. Anna ran her fingers over the initials. "We'll use this piece prominently. Let her work continue." They placed Sarah's board aside, kept sorting, found more marks, a heart carved by Elizabeth. "Home," written in pencil by Rebecca. Each woman had touched this wood, planned futures with it. "Why keep it all?" Anna asked. "The preserves, the lumber, the broken dreams?" Daniel straightened, his back cracking. Throwing it out felt like admitting they were right to leave. Anna looked at him direct. Were they? The question hung between them like dust motes in afternoon light. Daniel's jaw worked. No words coming. Anna picked up Sarah's board again, tested its strength, still solid. "This will be the smokehouse lintel. Everyone who enters will pass under Sarah's initials." They worked until shadows grew long, the lumber now organized, the repair plan clear. Tomorrow they'd start the actual building. Anna's ledger showed they had enough materials for walls and roof, but the firebox would require that trade with Murphy. Back in the kitchen, Anna fed Jenny's starter again. It bubbled more actively, yeast multiplying, remembering its purpose. She set it near the stove's warmth. "Bread tomorrow," she said. "First loaves in how long?" 3 years, maybe 4. Anna pulled Elizabeth's jam from the salvaged preserves, opened it. The seal broke with a soft pop. The smell of summer plums filled the kitchen. She spread it on the last of her biscuits, handed half to Daniel. The jam tasted like July sweet tart, with that edge of wildness that cultivated fruit never captures. Elizabeth had known what she was doing, at least with fruit. She would have liked knowing someone appreciated this, Anna said. Daniel chewed slow. She cried when she left. Said the land was too hard. The land's not hard, it's honest. Demands the same. Anna wiped her mouth, looked at the remaining jars they'd brought up. We'll use them all. Every successful jar. Make them part of feeding this place forward. She stood at the calendar, counted days. October 17th day, 3 nearly done. Tomorrow Murphy's farm for tomato knowledge and brick negotiation. Day 5 would be the smokehouse raising. Day 6. There's more, Daniel said. Anna turned. He stood by a cupboard she hadn't opened yet. More preserves. No. He opened the cupboard door. Inside, 6 bundles of fabric, each wrapped in brown paper, each labeled with a name. Wedding dresses, never worn. White cotton, ivory silk, pale blue wool. Each woman had brought her hope folded neat, left it behind when hope failed. Anna lifted Mary's bundle. The dress inside had yellowed at the folds, but the needlework remained perfect tiny stitches, mother-of-pearl buttons. Lace she'd probably made herself during winter evenings, dreaming of a different life than the one she found. Burn them, Anna said. Daniel's head jerked up. What? They're shrouds for dreams that died. This ranch doesn't need ghosts. She set Mary's dress back. But save the buttons and lace. We'll trade them. Someone else's daughter needs pretty things for her wedding. Anna closed the cupboard firm. Through the window, the last light caught on the organized lumber piles. Tomorrow's work waiting. The starter bubbled on the counter. The kitchen smelled of plum jam and possibility. She opened her ledger to tomorrow's schedule, wrote, cut buttons from ghost dresses. Daniel watched her write. The brutal efficiency of it. The way she turned 6 women's sorrow into trading goods. You're different, he said again. Anna's pencil stopped. She looked up. No, I'm exactly the same. The difference is I came here already broken. Nothing left to lose. She went back to writing. Daniel noticed she'd drawn the smokehouse in the margin, Sarah's initials carefully replicated on the lintel beam. The wagon wheels crunched over frost-brittle grass. 3 women in the bed, another driving. Their Sunday clothes despite it being Thursday morning. Anna heard them coming while splitting kindling, the axe hanging mid-swing. Mrs. Henderson held the reins, beside her. Mrs. Cooper from the general store, in the bed. Mrs. Murphy, the tomato grower, and a younger woman Anna didn't recognize. Anna set the axe into the chopping block. Wood chips clung to her apron. Her sleeves rolled to elbows, showed forearms streaked with dirt and dried blood from rose thorn scratches. She didn't roll them down. Ladies, Anna nodded. They climbed from the wagon like they were descending into perdition. Mrs. Cooper's nose wrinkled at the manure pile Anna had been spreading that morning. The young one, Mrs. Tilden, the banker's wife, kept touching her cameo brooch. We've come to see how you're managing, Mrs. Henderson said. Her eyes tracked over Anna's work dress, the mud caking her boots, the fresh blisters visible through her torn glove. I'm working. Anna pulled off her gloves, gestured to the house. Coffee's on. They followed her inside, their clean boots clicking on boards Anna hadn't swept. The kitchen smelled of rendering fat. She'd been preparing tallow for soap. The stovetop held 3 pots, contents bubbling. Jenny's sourdough starter had tripled in size, threatening to overflow its crock. Anna poured coffee into mismatched cups. 2 had chips. She served them without apology. Mrs. Cooper sat, her bustle making the chair creak. The Reverend mentioned you asked about soil conditions, limestone specifically. Anna stirred the rendering pot. Fat separated from connective tissue, clear liquid rising. Daniel's credit good for a load. The women exchanged glances. Mrs. Murphy spoke first. My husband has extra from the well project. What would he take in trade? Well, we have eggs enough, and I'll have preserves in 2 weeks, 3 kinds. Anna skimmed the pure fat into a clean pot. Maybe soap, too, if this batch sets right. Mrs. Tilden's cup rattled against its saucer. You're planning to stay, then? Anna looked at her straight. Why would I leave? Silence. Through the window, they could see the garden plot already doubled in size from yesterday. Dark soil turned and ready. The salvaged lumber stacked neat for the smokehouse. The beginnings of order carved from neglect. Daniel's previous, arrangements. Mrs. Henderson started. Weren't farmers. Anna pulled bread dough from under a damp cloth. It had risen perfect in the warm spot she'd identified near the stove. She punched it down, began kneading. Mrs. Murphy, Daniel mentioned your tomatoes. What variety? Mrs. Murphy leaned forward to spite herself. Cherokee purple mostly, though I've had luck with Bradley too. Seed saved how many generations? 4 for the Cherokee, 6 for the Bradley. Anna made notes with her floury hand, pencil stuttering over dough sticky paper. Would you trade starts? I have Detroit dark red beet seeds, 3rd generation from Nebraska. Good keepers. Mrs. Murphy's face changed. Nebraska seeds might not take here. They will if you amend the soil right. Anna shaped the dough into loaves. Sulfur to cut the alkali. Compost for structure. Plant after the last full moon in May. How do you know? I farmed in Nebraska, before. Anna didn't elaborate on before. She covered the shaped loaves. Mrs. Cooper, your store-stock sugar. When the freight comes through, I'll need 20 pounds, credit or trade. Mrs. Cooper's merchant instinct sharpened. What kind of trade? Anna walked to the cupboard, pulled out the bundle of buttons and lace she'd cut from the ghost dresses that morning. Mother of pearl gleamed in her palm. Irish lace, delicate as spider web. These worth anything, Mrs. Tilden gasped. That's where did you previous residents left them? Anna's voice stayed flat. They're no use here. She set the buttons on the table. The women leaned in. Mrs. Tilden picked up a pearl button, turned it to catch light. My daughter's getting married in spring, she said. Then you'll need nice buttons. Anna sorted them into piles. These are shell. These are pearl. This lace is handmade, probably took someone a winter to complete. Mrs. Henderson touched the lace. This was Mary's. Now it's currency. Anna pushed a pile toward each woman. Mrs. Henderson. These for Sunday school prizes. Mrs. Cooper. Store credit. Mrs. Murphy. Tomato starts. Mrs. Tilden. Tell your daughter congratulations. The women stared at the gifts that weren't gifts. Trades, negotiations, business conducted over coffee and rendering fat. There's more, Anna said. I propose a trading circle, monthly. Here. Mrs. Henderson's voice pitched high. Central location. I'll have produce. Mrs. Murphy has eggs. Someone must have surplus milk. Another makes better soap than my attempt here. Anna gestured at the pot. We trade direct, no store markup, no waiting for freight. Mrs. Cooper stiffened. The store provides. The store provides what comes on freight. We need what grows here, what works here. Anna pulled her ledger over, sketched a quick map. Who has the best laying hens? Mrs. Garrett. Mrs. Murphy said. Rhode Island Reds. Who makes cheese? Mrs. Larson. Though she's... Mrs. Henderson paused. Norwegian. Yes, probably makes good cheese then. Anna wrote it down. Who grows the best potatoes? The women found themselves answering, naming names, listing skills. Anna's ledger filled with connections who had what, who needed what, who could make what. Mrs. Tilden mentioned she tatted lace. Mrs. Cooper admitted her sister made excellent blackberry wine. Mrs. Murphy revealed she'd been experimenting with growing tobacco. Tobacco. Anna's pencil stopped. That's a cash crop. Just a small patch. My husband doesn't know. Anna smiled the first time the women had seen her smile. It changed her face from severe to conspiratorial. "How much did you harvest?" 2 pounds, dried. "That's worth more than all our preserves combined." Anna leaned forward. "You could trade that for enough sugar to preserve a year's worth of fruit." Mrs. Murphy's eyes widened. "I never thought. Men don't think women's work has value beyond the kitchen." Anna stood, checked her bread loaves, rising perfect. "But the railroad workers buy tobacco at twice the freight cost. We could undercut that." The kitchen filled with women's voices, no longer careful and social but sharp with calculation. Mrs. Henderson figured her knitting output. Mrs. Cooper reconsidered her sister's wine. They drew chairs closer, heads bent over Anna's sketches. The door opened. Daniel stood frozen, arms full of fence posts. His kitchen contained 4 women, their Sunday clothes incongruous among the rendering pots and rising bread, papers spread across his table, his coffee cups in their hands. "Daniel," Anna said without looking up, "Mrs. Murphy's husband will trade limestone for preserves. Can you haul it tomorrow?" He nodded. "Mute. Set the posts by the door." The women barely noticed him. "The first gathering," Anna continued. "November 15th. After harvest. Before the hard cold. Everyone brings something to trade. I'll provide the space and coffee." "I'll bring my daughter," Mrs. Tilden said. "She should learn this." "Bring them all," Anna said. "Girls need to know their work has value beyond marriage." Mrs. Henderson's breath caught. That was almost radical talk. But Anna wasn't making speeches. She was writing lists, drawing connections, building something that had nothing to do with ideology and everything to do with survival. They left an hour later. Each carried seedlings Anna had started in broken cups. Each had a specific trade arranged. The wagon pulled away with the women talking over each other, their Sunday dignity forgotten. Daniel stood beside Anna on the porch, watched the dust settle. "They came to see if you were crying," he said. "I know. You turned them into," he searched for words, "trading partners, more reliable than depending on freight schedules or your credit at the store." Daniel looked at her. Flour dusted her hair, tallow grease under her fingernails, her ledger tucked under one arm like ammunition. "The Larson woman," he said. "Her husband drinks. Bad. She doesn't go to town much." Anna made a note. "Then we'll make sure the gathering includes her. Especially." She walked inside. Daniel followed. The kitchen smelled of bread and rendered fat and the sharp green scent of tomato seedlings. On the table, one mother-of-pearl button caught the light payment for changing everything. "Tomorrow's day 5, Daniel said. Anna looked up from her ledger. "Yes, we're hauling limestone." The word hung there again. She opened the oven, pulled out golden loaves, set them to cool on the sill. Through the window, Daniel saw that ornery rooster scratching in the dirt Anna had turned, already finding worms in soil that had been dead yesterday. "They'll talk," he said. "In town. Let them." Anna cut into the still warm bread. Steam rose, carrying the smell of Jenny's 60-year-old starter. Talk doesn't plant crops or preserve food. She handed him a slice. The butter melted into holes formed by perfect fermentation. It tasted like his mother's bread, but different. Better, maybe. Or just alive when he'd grown used to everything being dead. Anna was already writing tomorrow's schedule on the barn board. Limestone Hall, Smokehouse Foundation, begin soap processing. Her letters firm and black against the wood. Daniel noticed she'd added something to the bottom of the list. A single line, underlined twice. Day 6, Murphy brings tomatoes. Mrs. Murphy was coming back, bringing her secret tobacco crop to discuss. The banker's wife would return too, and the Norwegian woman who didn't come to town. His ranch was becoming something he didn't recognize. Anna hadn't asked permission. She'd simply decided his isolation was inefficient and started fixing it like she'd fixed the stove damper. The bread cooled on the sill. 7 perfect loaves. Tomorrow she'd trade 3 for limestone. Keep 3 for them. Give 1 to the Larson woman when she came to investigate what the other women were talking about. Because they would talk, and women would come, and Anna would be ready with her ledger and her trades and her absolute certainty that survival meant connection, whether Daniel wanted it or not. He looked at the underlined date, day 6, when every other woman had been packing to leave. Anna was planning to receive tomatoes. Dawn came gray through greased paper windows, day 5. Anna's breath misted as she stirred the banked coals. Her movements had found their rhythm 3 scoops of coal. Damper adjusted to the angle she'd marked with a knife scratch. Coffee pot on the hot spot left rear. Daniel's boots on the stairs. He no longer tried to rise before her. They sat across from each other, the coffee black between them. Anna's ledger open, her pencil moving. Daniel watched her chart the day limestone hall. Smokehouse foundation. Mrs. Murphy arriving with tomato starts. Wind from the north today, Daniel said. Means rain within 2 days. Anna looked up. How much rain? Enough to set mortar if we're quick with the smokehouse. She made a note, drew a circle around day 7 and wrote rain in the margin. Neither commented on the significance of the date. The limestone hauling took the morning. Mr. Murphy, thick-necked and silent, helped them load. His eyes tracked between Anna and Daniel, looking for something, tears maybe, or the brittle silence that preceded leaving. Instead, he found Anna calculating load distribution while Daniel secured corners. Your wife mentioned a tobacco crop, Anna said as they tied the final rope. Murphy's face darkened. Women's gossip? Women's enterprise? Anna pulled a jar from her apron, Rebecca's preserved peaches, the ones suspended like gold. Consider this a down payment. I'd like to discuss distribution. Murphy took the jar, held it to the light. The peaches glowed. Distribution. Railroad workers pay $2 a pound for tobacco. Freight cost adds another $1. Your wife could sell direct for $2.50 and still undercut the competition. Murphy's jaw worked. That's men's business. Then let the men handle it. Anna climbed onto the wagon seat. But the profit's the same regardless who counts it. The ride back stretched quiet except for limestone shifting with each rut. Daniel glanced sideways at Anna. She was sketching in her notebook not the landscape but mathematical calculations. Pounds of tobacco, multiplied by railroad paydays, divided by growing seasons. They unloaded at the smokehouse site. Anna had marked the foundation with stakes and twine, everything square and level. They mixed mortar in the wheelbarrow lime, sand, water, and cow hair for binding. The smell burned their nostrils. Anna carried stones while Daniel spread mortar. Her hands, still blistered, gripped each piece firm. They worked without talking, finding a rhythm. Place, mortar, level, place, mortar, level. The foundation rose from dirt, Sarah's salvaged board waiting to crown it. Mrs. Murphy arrived as the sun hit noon, not in her Sunday clothes this time, but a work dress, sleeves rolled. She carried a wooden flat of seedlings and something else, a leather portfolio. Cherokee purple, like promised, she said, setting down the plants. And these? She opened the portfolio. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, tobacco leaves. The smell rose sweet and sharp. Anna lifted one, tested its cure between thumb and finger. Good color, properly dried. She held it to the light. Your husband know you brought these. He's at the store, gossiping about you, most likely. Anna smiled that conspiratorial smile. Then we have time to discuss terms. They sat at the garden edge while Daniel continued the foundation. Anna drew diagrams, distribution routes, profit margins, seasonal timing. Mrs. Murphy pulled out her own notebook, full of cramped figures. I've been tracking yields for 3 years, Mrs. Murphy said. Never thought to track profits. Yields don't matter if you can't sell. Anna pointed to a calculation. but consistent quality at lower than freight prices. That's a business. Mrs. Murphy studied the numbers. The railroad workers get paid 1st and 15th. So we deliver on the 31st and 14th. Cash in hand before they drink it away. Daniel listened while fitting stones. Women planning commerce in his garden. The 6th woman, Claire, had barely spoken above a whisper. Now Anna and Mrs. Murphy discussed transportation routes like field generals. "I'll need a partner," Mrs. Murphy said. "Someone to handle the actual sales while I grow." Anna looked at Daniel. He was watching them, trowel suspended. "Daniel could do it," Anna said. "He knows every railroad worker by name." "I don't sell tobacco," Daniel said. "You sell cattle. This is just smaller livestock that doesn't eat grain." Mrs. Murphy laughed sharp and surprised. That's one way to see it. They worked through afternoon. The smokehouse foundation finished. Sarah's board placed as the entrance lintel. Mrs. Murphy helped plant the tomatoes, teaching Anna her specific method: deep holes, bottom leaves stripped, a handful of crushed eggshells at the root. "For calcium," Mrs. Murphy explained. "Prevents bottom rot." Anna made notes, every detail cataloged. The ledger grew thick with inserted pages, sketches, calculations, a farming manual written in real time. Evening brought the Murphy wagon back. Mr. Murphy climbed down, face dark as thunder, but his wife met him with the preserved peaches, the jar now empty. "Best preserves I've had in years," he admitted grudgingly. Then, to Anna, "Margaret says you have a business proposition." Anna stood, dirt-caked and direct. "Your tobacco, our distribution, split 60-40 your favor." 70-30? 65-35. "And I teach your wife my preserving methods." Murphy's eyes narrowed. "That's worth something. Ask your stomach how those peaches tasted." He grunted, which Anna took as agreement. They shook hands, hers still grimy with mortar, his stained with tobacco. After the Murphys left, Anna and Daniel sat on the porch steps. The sun dropped low, painting the smokehouse foundation red. Tomorrow it would be ready for walls. Tomorrow would be day 6. "You negotiated Murphy down to 35%, Daniel said. "He'll make triple what he'd make alone. 35% of more is better than 70% of nothing." Daniel pulled out his pipe, packed it with Murphy's tobacco sample. The smoke rose sweet. "My father would have liked you." "Why?" "He understood investment, put everything into this place. Died before seeing it return anything." Anna looked at the garden, the foundation, the organized lumber. He saw it. The possibility, same as looking at seeds and seeing harvest. They sat quiet. Through the kitchen window, lamplight caught the schedule for day 6. Full morning of work, Mrs. Tilden bringing her daughter after lunch. Evening preparing for Daniel stopped reading at day 7. No schedule. Just Anna's notation, normal day. "Normal," he said. Anna pulled thread from her apron pocket, began mending a tear in his shirt sleeve. Her needle moved steady, small stitches closing the gap. "Need anything from town I'm making a list for next week." Next week. After day 7. Day 8 requires fence wire. Day 9 I want to start the root cellar expansion. Her needle never paused. The mending grew under her hands, invisible unless you knew where to look. Daniel opened the seed catalog, began reading aloud about corn varieties. Anna listened while stitching, occasionally asking about frost tolerance or water requirements. The shirt sleeve became whole again. She bit the thread, tied it off, handed the shirt back warm from her hands. "Should hold now," she said. Daniel ran his thumb over the repair. Perfect small stitches, like his mother used to make, but different. Stronger, maybe, or just present instead of memory. Inside, Jenny's starter bubbled. Tomorrow's bread already planned. Mrs. Tilden would get a loaf, warm, when she brought her daughter. The girl needed to see women earning from their work, not just working for earning. Anna stood, brushed dirt from her dress. "I'll start breakfast at 5. Want to get the walls up before noon." She went inside. Daniel remained on the steps, smoking Murphy's tobacco, watching stars appear. Through the window, he could see Anna writing in her ledger, pages of plans extending past day 7, past day 14, past the first frost into next spring. She drew a diagram of expanded garden plots, added calculations for a greenhouse made from salvaged windows. Her pencil moved certain across paper, like she was writing contracts with the future. The rooster, locked now in the reinforced coop, crowed at the rising moon. 6 hens answered the trade Anna had made that afternoon with the Garrett farm. 2 jars of preserves for 6 good layers. They'd have eggs by day 8. Daniel stood, knocked his pipe against the step. Inside, Anna had moved to the stove, banking coals for morning. Her shadow moved precise across the wall. She'd never asked if she could stay, never promised she would. Just started working like staying was a fact, not a question. He went to check the animals, in the barn. He found she'd reorganized the tools. Saws sharpened and oiled, harnesses sorted by condition, a schedule tacked to the wall showing rotation for the horses' shoes. Day 7 circled in red, but after it, the schedule continued. Day 8, Day 9, Day 10, each filled with Anna's cramped writing. Work planned weeks ahead. Daniel touched the circle around day 7. Tomorrow, Mrs. Tilden would bring her daughter. Anna would teach the girl about preservation, not about marriage or keeping house, but about preservation as commerce, as independence. The barn door creaked. Anna stood silhouetted, lamp in hand. "Forgot to mention," she said. "Mrs. Larson's coming day after tomorrow, the Norwegian woman. She's bringing cheese samples and wants to discuss bartering for chicken feed." Day after tomorrow. Day 8. After the day that drove 6 women away. "You planned that intentionally," Daniel said. Anna set the lamp on a barrel. "She needs the income. Her husband drinks their money. If she has her own trade network, she has options." "That's not what I meant." Anna met his eyes. "I know what you meant." She picked up the lamp, turned back toward the house. In the doorway, she paused. "Your shirt's on the kitchen chair. The mending's done." Daniel stood in the dark barn, listening to her footsteps cross the yard. Tomorrow was day 6. 6 women had started crying by day 6, started packing. Anna was planning to teach preservation methods to the banker's daughter. The 7th day arrived without fanfare. Anna's feet hit cold floorboards at 4:30. She pulled on her work dress in darkness, the fabric stiff with yesterday's dried sweat and mortar dust. The coals glowed orange under gray ash. She stirred them with the poker, added kindling, watched flames catch. The coffee pot went on its spot left rear where the heat stayed steadiest. She ground beans in the hand mill, the handle squeaking with each rotation. Outside, the rooster crowed. The 6 hens answered with soft clucks. Anna pulled on Daniel's old coat from the hook hers was still drying from yesterday's rain. The coat smelled of pipe tobacco and horse. The coop door stuck in its track. She worked it back and forth until it slid. The hens rushed out, pecking at her boots. She scattered cracked corn from the bucket, counted birds. 6. The rooster strutted past, tail high. 3 eggs in the laying boxes. She collected them in her apron, still warm. One had a double yolk she could tell from the weight. Back inside, Daniel sat at the table. His coffee steamed untouched while he studied her ledger from last night. The pages where she'd sketched root cellar expansion for next week. "Forgot something," he said. Anna cracked eggs into the skillet. "What? Today's the day they expect you to leave." The eggs sizzled. Anna flipped them with practiced motion, the whites setting perfect. She slid them onto his plate, started her own. "Pass the salt," she said. They ate. Anna's pencil moved across fresh ledger pages, calculating lumber for the root cellar. Daniel watched her work the numbers twice the width, 3 times the depth of current storage, room for a year's worth of preserves plus trading stock. "That's ambitious," he said. "That's necessary." 24 jars won't sustain winter, much less build trade. She stood, cleared plates. Through the window, dust rose on the town road, too early for normal traffic. Someone's coming, Daniel said. 3 riders. Anna recognized Mrs. Henderson's hat, elaborate even at distance. The others remained unclear until they stopped at the gate, Pastor Henderson himself, and the store owner Paulson. Anna wiped her hands on her apron, opened the door before they knocked. Pastor? Mr. Paulson? Mrs. Henderson? She nodded to each. Coffee. They stood awkward on the porch. The pastor cleared his throat. We've come to check on things. Things are fine. I've got bread rising if you'd like to wait for fresh. Mrs. Henderson's eyes darted to the kitchen behind Anna, looking for packed bags probably, or tears. Instead, she saw bread dough in 3 loaves, the starter crock bubbling, preserving jars lined up for today's work. Perhaps we should speak privately, the pastor suggested, about your situation. My situation is I need to check the smokehouse mortar before it sets wrong. Anna stepped past them, headed for the garden. They followed, had to follow or stand foolish on the empty porch. The smokehouse foundation had dried solid. Anna tested the mortar with her thumbnail, nodded satisfaction. She began positioning the first wall boards, measuring twice before hammering. The pastor's delegation stood watching her work. It's day 7, Mrs. Henderson finally said. It's Thursday, Anna corrected. She drove a nail home with 3 strikes. Daniel, can you hold this corner? Daniel moved to hold the board. Their hands worked inches apart, her hammering while he steadied. The wall rose between them and the town delegation. The previous arrangements, Pastor Henderson began, weren't farmers. Anna didn't look up from her hammering. Paulson stepped forward. Your account at the store. Won't be necessary soon. Anna pulled another nail from the pouch at her waist. Mrs. Murphy and I have an arrangement. Mrs. Larson, too. Come tomorrow. Direct trade. That's highly irregular, Paulson said. That's highly efficient. More dust on the road. A wagon this time. Mrs. Tilden driving, her daughter beside her. The girl, maybe 16, wore a work dress instead of the usual town finery. Sorry we're early, Mrs. Tilden called. Emma couldn't wait. The girl climbed down, eyes bright. In her hands, a notebook like Anna's. You said you'd teach preservation, Emma said. Real preservation. For selling. Anna set down her hammer. Wash your hands at the pump. We'll start with sanitizing jars. The delegation watched Emma race to the pump, her mother following at a dignified pace that still betrayed eagerness. You're teaching the banker's daughter to work, Mrs. Henderson's voice pitched high. I'm teaching her to earn. Anna picked up her hammer again. There's a difference. Inside the kitchen, Emma proved quick to learn. She took notes while Anna demonstrated jar inspection, testing seals, checking for hairline cracks. They worked through the morning while the delegation lingered, uncertain. Daniel found them still standing by the smokehouse when he returned from checking cattle. Anna's inside, he said, teaching the Tilden girl. On day 7, Pastor Henderson said. Daniel looked at the man straight. She's got 20 pounds of tomatoes to preserve. What's the day matter? Through the window, Anna's voice carried clear. Never fill above the shoulder. Expansion space prevents breakage. Emma's voice answered, excited. And the salt ratio. 1 tablespoon per quart for tomatoes, 2 for cucumbers. I'll show you the ledger where I track results. Mrs. Henderson moved toward the window. Inside, Anna and Emma bent over the ledger, the girl copying recipes with focused intensity. Mrs. Tilden sat at the table, learning to test jar lids for warping. She's not leaving, Mrs. Henderson said. Not a question anymore. Daniel continued building the smokehouse wall. Each board fitted precise. Anna's plan working exactly as drawn. The pastor cleared his throat. Perhaps we should go. Wait, Paulson said. The account situation. Anna appeared in the doorway. Emma behind her carrying a jar of preserved tomatoes. The seal perfect. "Mr. Paulson," Anna said, "I'll need 50 pounds of sugar by month's end. Cash or trade?" 50 pounds. For the trading circle preserves. First meeting's November 15th. She turned to Mrs. Henderson. "You'll bring your knitting samples." Mrs. Henderson nodded automatic, then caught herself. But too late. She'd already agreed. "Emma wants to learn your cable stitch." Anna continued. "She'll trade preserved goods for lessons." The girl nodded eager. "Mother says I need accomplishments. This accomplishes something real." Pastor Henderson's mouth opened and closed. His wife touched his arm. "We should go." They climbed into their buggy. Paulson followed on his horse, calculating 50 pounds of sugar profit in his head. The dust of their leaving settled. Inside, Anna continued teaching. Emma sealed her third jar, the technique improving each time. Mrs. Tilden had moved to helping, sorting lids by size. "Why didn't you leave?" Emma asked suddenly. Anna looked up from the ledger. "Why would I? The others all did. Before day 7. The others expected something different." Anna demonstrated the water bath setup. "I expected work." Daniel listened from the doorway. Emma wrote everything down, her notebook filling with practical knowledge. Not recipes for catching husbands, but recipes for independence. The afternoon pulled long. Emma and her mother left with 4 jars of preserves and a promise to return next week. Anna went back to the smokehouse. Daniel beside her. They worked until sunset. The walls complete. Sarah's initials visible on the lintel. Neither mentioned the significance of the sun dropping below horizon. Day 7 ending. Anna measured for the roof while Daniel cut shingles. "Mrs. Larson tomorrow," Anna said. "She'll need encouragement. An abused woman forgets her worth." "You planning to fix everyone?" "I'm planning to trade with everyone. If that fixes things, it's coincidental." They walked back to the house as stars emerged. Through the window, the calendar showed October 21st, no longer circled. Anna had rubbed out the red mark that morning, replaced it with Larson, cheese samples. Daniel stopped at the porch steps. "You knew?" "Knew what?" "That today was day 7. Anna pulled off her work gloves, examined new calluses forming over healed blisters. "I knew today was Thursday. Day 7 was something other people counted." Inside, she opened her ledger to tomorrow's page, already filled with plans meeting Mrs. Larson, expanding the root cellar, checking the Murphy tobacco order, preparing for the next round of preserving. "Day 8, Daniel read. 3 weeks until trading circle." Anna looked up. "We'll need tables, benches. Can you build them?" "We'll need them." She met his eyes direct. "Unless you plan to make 20 women stand while trading." 20 women. In his house, trading goods, teaching skills, building something that had nothing to do with marriage and everything to do with survival. Daniel picked up his own pencil, started sketching table designs in the margin of Anna's ledger. Their shadows merged on the wall. 2 heads bent over shared work. Through the window, that ornery rooster crowed at the moon. 6 hens had become 12. Mrs. Garrett had sent 6 more with her daughter that afternoon. Payment for Anna teaching the girl to preserve meat. Anna wrote in her ledger, day 7 complete. 12 hens, 6 preserved quart jars, smokehouse walls raised. Tomorrow expand root cellar, Larson consultation, begin winter planning. She set down her pencil, looked at what she'd written. Day 7 had passed like water through fingers, unmarked except by work done. Daniel was still sketching. Tables for 20 women. In his house that had been empty 3 years. "Daniel," Anna said. He looked up. "We'll need 50 chairs eventually. The circle will grow." He stared at her. 50 women. In Silver Creek. That was every wife and daughter over 15. "You're planning to teach them all?" Anna smiled that rare smile. "I'm planning to trade with them all. Teaching's just the currency." But there's something else. She pulled a folded paper from her apron, opened it on the table. A letter from the railroad company, delivered with Emma that morning. They want a contract. Regular tobacco delivery, twice monthly. Murphy can't fill it alone. Daniel read the numbers, the volume requested, the price offered. This would need 10 acres minimum, he said. 15 for safety margin. Anna pointed to her sketch on the back. Your south field, the one lying fallow. That's for grazing. Cattle eat grass, money buys grass and everything else. Daniel calculated. The profit from 15 acres of tobacco would triple what cattle brought. But it meant changing everything. Meant contracts and schedules and partners. Anna said, we'd need partners. Murphy for growing expertise, the women for harvesting labor, you for distribution, and you, I keep the books, manage the trades, ensure everyone profits fair. Daniel looked at the contract again. At the bottom, a line for signatures. Plural. They want an answer by November 1st. Anna said, 10 days. 10 days to decide whether to change everything or keep everything the same. Sleep on it, Anna said. She stood, banked the stove for morning. Mrs. Larson comes at 9. I'll need the wagon to haul her cheese samples. She climbed the stairs to her room. Daniel remained at the table, contract before him. Through the window, he could see the smokehouse silhouette, Sarah's initials dark on the lintel beam. A knock at the door. This late. It could only be emergency. Murphy stood on the porch, hat in hand. Is Anna awake? He asked. Murphy's boots scraped the threshold. Margaret's taken ill. The tobacco needs cutting tomorrow or it'll overcure. Anna appeared on the stairs, already pulling on her work dress over her nightgown. How many acres? 2, maybe 2.5. We'll need 8 people minimum. Anna grabbed her ledger from the table. Daniel, ride to the Garrett farm. Tell them tobacco cutting tomorrow. Dawn. Shares of profit for help. I'll take the Larson place and swing by Tilden's. She was out the door before Daniel processed her words. Murphy stood frozen between them. She always like this? Murphy asked. Getting worse, Daniel said, grabbing his coat. They scattered into darkness. Daniel's horse picked through ruts by moonlight while Anna's wagon wheels rattled toward the Norwegian settlement. By midnight, she'd secured 6 women. Daniel brought 4 more. Murphy's tobacco would be cut, dried, bundled, and sold before the railroad payroll. 3 weeks later, those same women filled Daniel's kitchen. November 15th arrived gray and wind-whipped. Anna rose at 3:30, started fires in both the kitchen stove and the parlor hearth that hadn't held flame in 5 years. She pulled tables, 3 built by Daniel, 2 borrowed from Murphy into a horseshoe pattern, benches along the walls, chairs for the older women. The first wagon arrived before sunrise. Mrs. Larson, her cheese wheels wrapped in cloth, her youngest daughter beside her. The bruise on Mrs. Larson's cheek had yellowed to green. I brought samples, she said quiet. Like you asked. Anna took the cheese, cut wedges with steady hands. Your husband. Passed out. Won't wake before noon. Good. You'll have time to establish your prices without interference. More wagons pulled into the yard, the kitchen filled with women's voices, packages thudding on tables, glass jars clinking. Anna assigned spaces, organized displays. Mrs. Murphy's tobacco sachets at the north table, they'd sold half the emergency harvest already. Mrs. Tilden's tatted lace spread on blue cloth. Mrs. Henderson's knitted goods piled soft beside them. Emma Tilden carried in preserve jars, each labeled in her careful hand. 20 quarts, she announced. Tomatoes, cucumbers, and autumn pear. Display them by type, Anna directed. Price cards visible. Women kept arriving. Some Daniel recognized. Others were strangers word had spread beyond Silver Creek. A woman from Millerville brought wool. Another from Cooper's Ford carried seed packets saved from her grandmother's garden. Daniel stood in his own doorway, watching his house transform. Anna moved through the crowd, ledger under her arm, facilitating trades. She never raised her voice, but women turned when she spoke. Mrs. Garrett, Your eggs for Mrs. Larson's cheese straight trade, or do you need boot, meant additional payment to balance unequal trades. Anna had taught them the term, along with futures promises for next season's goods and samples, small portions to establish quality. The banker's daughter demonstrated pickle making at one table, while Mrs. Murphy explained tobacco curing at another. Skills passing between generations, between neighbors who'd barely spoken before. "Coffee's ready," Daniel announced. He carried the pot table to table, filling cups Anna had borrowed from 3 households to have enough. His mother's coffee cake, made from Anna's adaptation of the recipe, disappeared in minutes. "This is excellent, Mr. Hart," Mrs. Henderson said, sugar on her lips. Daniel almost corrected her it was Anna's recipe, but Anna caught his eye, shook her head small. Let him have the credit. She had other currency. Paulson appeared in the doorway at noon, drawn by curiosity or concern for his store's future. His eyes went wide at the commerce happening without him. Anna approached with a cup of coffee, a wedge of Mrs. Larson's cheese. "Mr. Paulson, good you're here. We need to discuss bulk sugar orders." "Bulk?" "The trading circle's placing a combined order, 40 women, better price per pound. You'll profit on volume rather than markup." Paulson chewed the cheese sharp, well-aged, superior to anything in his store. "This is Larson's. She's taking orders, 5-pound wheels, age 3 months minimum." Around them, women traded. Not just goods, but knowledge, connections, possibilities. Mrs. Larson's daughter learned tatting from Emma. Mrs. Garrett taught 3 women her mother's soap recipe. Anna's preservation techniques spread like water, finding level ground. "Show them the contract," someone called. Anna pulled out the railroad tobacco agreement. The women gathered as she read the terms, the quantities, the profits to be shared. "We'll need every available hand come harvest," Anna said. "Shares proportional to hours worked." "What about our own harvests?" asked a woman Daniel didn't recognize. "We coordinate. Tobacco in July, vegetables August through September, preserving in October. Everyone helps everyone. Nobody works alone." The woman calculated on her fingers. "That's 4 months' steady income, plus your own trades, plus preserved goods through winter." Anna opened her ledger to a diagram. 15 acres of tobacco, shared labor, distributed profits. Every woman here could earn enough to... She stopped. But they all heard the unfinished sentence. "Earn enough to leave if necessary. Earn enough to stay if they chose. Earn enough to matter." Mrs. Larson spoke first, quiet but clear. "I'm in." Others followed, names in Anna's ledger, commitments to acres and hours. Not charity but commerce, not help but exchange. The afternoon waned. Wagons loaded with trades headed home. Mrs. Larson left with empty cheese baskets and a pocket full of orders. Emma carried her preserving supplies, planning to teach her younger sisters. "Thank you," Mrs. Henderson said to Anna, her arms full of traded goods. "This was unexpected." "Next month, December 15th, Anna replied. "Bring your winter knitting. The railroad workers need mittens." After the last wagon left, Anna and Daniel stood in the ransacked kitchen. Empty tables, coffee-stained cups, crumbs and sawdust on floors that hadn't seen such traffic in years. 53 women, Anna said. 11 more than expected. Daniel stacked chairs, swept crumbs. "My mother would have liked this. She would have run it better. I found her notes in the pantry. She had similar ideas. Just no network to execute them." They cleaned in companionable silence. Anna washing cups, Daniel hauling tables. The house felt different, stretched somehow, like it had remembered how to hold people. "The tobacco contract," Daniel said. "We signing." Anna dried her hands, pulled the agreement from her ledger. "Already did. This morning. Forged your signature." Daniel stared. You'd have debated another week. The deadline was today." She set the contract on the table. "You can refuse. Tell them I acted without authority. But you won't. How do you know?" "Because you made coffee cake for 50 women. Because you built tables for them to trade on. Because you're already calculating how much seed we'll need for 15 acres. Daniel picked up the contract, his name in Anna's handwriting, barely distinguishable from his own. When did you learn to forge signatures? When my husband died, I had to sign his name to sell our farm. The bank wouldn't accept a woman's signature alone. First mention of her husband. Daniel didn't push for more. Anna opened her ledger to the front page. In large letters across the top, Hart Ranch Operations, Year 1. Year 1, Daniel read. Of many, the fruit trees arrive in spring. She showed him the order from Stark Brothers. 12 apple, 6 pear, 4 cherry. Mrs. Murphy wants to try peaches, but I think the frost'll kill them. That's a decade investment minimum. That's the point. Daniel studied the order. Trees that wouldn't bear fruit for 3 years, full production in 7. Anna planning harvests she might not see. You're not like the others, he said again. This time Anna looked at him full on. No, the others had hope. I have plans. Through the window, the November sun dropped toward the horizon. The smokehouse stood complete. Smoke beginning to cure the first batch of Murphy's tobacco. The expanded garden waited under straw mulch. The root cellar, tripled in size, held preserves for winter and trading stock for spring. Anna added figures in her ledger. Tobacco profits, preservation sales, trading circle percentages. The numbers grew in columns, promising security neither had imagined possible. We'll need a bigger house, she said. If the trading circle keeps growing, build on or build new? Build on. Keep the kitchen as center. Add a trading hall to the east. Storage to the west. Daniel sketched in the margin, following her words. A house that could hold 100 women trading. A business disguised as a home. The women today, Daniel said. Half of them had bruises like Mrs. Larson. Now they'll have their own money. Options. Anna closed the ledger. Economic independence changes the mathematics of marriage. Bold words, radical even. But Anna didn't make speeches. She just wrote names in ledgers, taught preservation, built networks that gave women choices they'd never had. The rooster crowed evening feeding time. 23 hens now trades from today. By spring they'd have 50. By next November, 100. I'll feed the chickens, Daniel said. I'll start supper. They moved to their tasks. Through the window, Daniel watched Anna work in the kitchen they'd transformed. She pulled down preserves Rebecca's peaches again, Mary's pickles, Sarah's green beans. The 6 women who'd left had become part of the foundation, their work continuing in ways they'd never imagined. Anna opened a new jar, one of her own. Hart Ranch tomatoes, November 1883. The label read. She'd included both names without asking. Hart Ranch, not just Hart. Not his alone anymore. Daniel scattered corn for the chickens. They rushed his boots, pecking and clucking. That ornery rooster supervised from his fence post, tail feathers magnificent in setting sun. Tomorrow, Anna would visit the Murphy farm, check the tobacco drying. Next week, she'd travel to Millerville, establish a satellite trading post. By spring, she'd have 3 towns connected, goods and knowledge flowing between them like creeks feeding a river. The kitchen window glowed yellow against blue dusk. Inside, Anna moved between stove and table, preparing the meal they'd share while planning tomorrow's work. Her ledger lay open, pages ruffling in heat from the stove, filled with names, numbers, connections, futures. Daniel had waited 3 years for a bride who would stay. Instead, he got Anna a widow who came to work, not to wed, who filled his empty house with 50 women's voices, who taught the banker's daughter to preserve food, and the Norwegian woman to price cheese, and the pastor's wife that knitting had monetary value beyond charity. He closed the chicken coop, checked the latch twice, Anna's habit now his. Walking back, he saw her through the window, adding wood to the stove. The light caught her profile, severe and certain. She looked up, saw him watching, nodded once. Get inside. Supper's ready. Tomorrow starts early. Tomorrow always started early now. But the house no longer felt empty. The work no longer felt pointless. The land no longer felt like a prison. Daniel climbed the porch steps Sarah had helped repair, passed under the doorframe Mary had tried to paint, entered the kitchen Elizabeth had attempted to organize. All their efforts part of the foundation Anna built on. Telegram came with Mrs. Henderson, Anna said, serving plates. Railroad wants to double the tobacco order. We'll need more acres. We'll need more partners. Anna opened her ledger to a fresh page. I've been thinking about the widow Patterson's bottom land. They ate while planning. The November wind rattling windows. In 3 weeks, the trading circle would meet again. In spring, fruit trees would arrive. In summer, tobacco would grow. The calendar on the wall showed November through December, every date filled with Anna's neat writing. No circled day 7, no countdown to leaving. Just work, stretching forward into a future being built one trade at a time. Spring arrived with fruit trees in burlap-wrapped bundles. Anna directed placement while Daniel dug holes. The trading circle women came to plant 63 of them now, some from towns 30 miles distant. Mrs. Larson arrived without bruises. Her husband had left after she'd bought their mortgage with cheese profits. She planted a cherry tree with steady hands. Emma Tilden worked beside her mother. Both in trousers Anna had convinced them to try. The girl had earned enough from preserves to pay her own finishing school tuition. She'd chosen agricultural college instead. These won't produce for 3 years, someone said. 7 for full yield, Anna corrected, tamping soil around roots. We're planting for 1890. The women understood. They'd learned to think in seasons, years, decades. Their ledgers tracked multi-year contracts now. The railroad ordered tobacco, preserves, knitted goods. Some husbands supported the enterprise. Others tolerated it. A few fought it and found themselves eating cold dinners while their wives attended emergency tobacco harvests. Daniel watched Anna assign tree locations according to her diagram drainage. Wind protection, pollination patterns all considered. She'd never asked to marry him, never suggested it. They worked as partners, names linked on contracts and ledgers, building something larger than marriage. The rooster, ancient now, crowed from his post. 200 hens answered. Disclaimer. This is a work of fiction created solely for entertainment purposes. The story does not condone, promote, or encourage any form of violence or harmful behavior. All characters, events, and situations are entirely products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. The historical setting and social dynamics portrayed are fictional interpretations and should not be taken as historically accurate representations. This narrative is intended for mature readers seeking thoughtful fiction about human resilience and community building,